Hello everyone, my name is Ava, and for this assignment I decided to choose someone that was speaking on the topic of abortion. Personally, I am pro-life, so I decided to find a speaker that was speaking about pro-choice and just their stance on it. So I found a TED Talk, and the woman is Amanda Bradley that is speaking in this video. And I will say I am very firm in my beliefs on this topic, which is part of the reason that I did choose this topic, because I wanted to challenge myself to really try to keep an open mind to what this woman is saying and the points that she brings up, which she definitely did bring up some interesting points, which I will get to that. But I think just in general, I do like that this assignment is to really challenge us to really stay open-minded and really hear other people out, because that is something that we all fail to do, I think, in so many ways. And that's something that I myself am really trying to just work on in general. So really the whole basis of the TED Talk is that abortion is not on any woman's bucket list. And I think, it definitely was hard for me to keep an open mind through it. But after listening to the video, I did recognize, some very valid points that she made. And one of the first things that stood out to me was just the comment she made about how a lot of pro-life people will kind of just continue to say, like, you made your bed, now lie in it, like, you've made these poor decisions, so now you are facing the consequence. And yes, I do agree to an extent that when someone makes a poor choice, they should learn from that choice. However, there are so many times when people and young women are in these situations where they're, sexually active and they're doing these things without really the knowledge of what they're doing, or the knowledge of contraceptives and what, abortion is, and just all of these different things that play a factor into it. And so I think that she just really brought up a good point in that, because I think we do need to try and be more compassionate and empathetic with some of these situations that women are facing as pro-lifers in general, because I think that that's just really one thing that a lot of pro-lifers fail to do, is to try and actually put themselves in the shoes of a lot of these women. And I know that a lot of women do face some really, really difficult circumstances, and it can be sometimes hard to advocate pro-life in some of the circumstances that I hear about. But at the same time, I really do firmly believe that God, that's my faith, that He fearfully, wonderfully creates every single human being, and that they all deserve a chance at life, even if that does mean that they may grow up in less than best conditions, which is still very sad. But I do think that in that regard, we just never know what that child can really contribute, not only to the family but to society as a whole, because one life can make such an impact. But anyways, let me continue on with what she was saying. So another point that she made that kind of did shift my perspective a little bit on this was how women who are over 35 are just as likely, if not more likely, to actually have an abortion than young women like in their 20s and in their teens. And this just really kind of made me realize that, there are many circumstances in which it's not necessarily a younger, maybe more ignorant per se individual that's making this choice, and it is coming from older women who just may not want children, or they have already had children and they don't want to have more children. And I don't know, for me it was definitely hard to keep an open mind in that regard, because I think that no matter what, even if I had already had kids and I felt like my family was done, I do not have the heart to basically turn down the chance to give that child life. And there are just so many resources and clinics out there that really can help young women and even older women that are in need in these situations that they're facing. And so I will say that in many regards, my perspective on some of the things that need to be addressed within this topic have changed. Like, I do recognize my own ignorance through watching this video, that there are a lot of factors that I haven't necessarily thought about. But I will say that it doesn't change like my general stance on the topic. I do still firmly believe that every single life deserves to be given a chance, because life starts at conception, and I feel like if we don't really draw the line there, then where do we draw the line? I know some people will argue, it's just a couple of cells, and while granted, yes, the baby may not be fully formed yet, I mean, how else does a human being grow? How else does a baby animal grow? It all starts somewhere. It all starts when that baby is conceived. That's when life begins. And yes, even though the fetus cannot survive outside of the womb, like many people will say, I still just don't think that means that we should deny that fetus the ability to have life, even if that means that it will be a challenging life, because that doesn't necessarily mean that we should just say that their life isn't worthy because they're going to grow up in less than best conditions or really horrible conditions. And obviously I don't want that for any child. I really want to make sure that I emphasize that is not something that I am for at all. But yeah, this definitely has been an eye-opening thing for me to just hear some of her points, especially just hearing some of the statistics that she brought up about how, like, 1 in 4 women in Australia, she's an Australian woman, will have an abortion in their lifetime, which when I think about that, that's like, wow, that's insane. That's a lot of women, but this is a real thing, and a lot of people are in some not great situations where they maybe feel obligated to have an abortion because of the conditions they're in. Yeah, so this was just really definitely eye-opening in some ways for me. But yeah.